Hey, this is kind of a lighthearted, funny video, but on the other end, it's probably not too funny when you really start thinking about the depth of the depravity of people and how they cast ad hominems on people that they don't know, that they know nothing about. And they put all these stickers and these labels and these titles on people, and they don't even know who the people are. And they just make things up and pull things out of their derrieres, so to speak. So I was looking in the comment section under my deliverance video, which if you haven't taken a look at that, you got to take a look at it. Pretty funny. Humanity is hilarious to me. James Joseph says, Frauditor Troll made a video with you in it, Brian. LOL, you got to see it. So I don't really venture on that side of the spectrum. I've seen these people's videos. This Mark guy from another channel that was involved in litigation with Long Island audits, and I've seen a couple of this guy's videos. But let me just say, this is a truth. This is kind of a principle of the universe. Accusation without substantiation is the height of ignorance. If you accuse somebody of something and you don't have evidence to back your assertion or accusation, why are you saying it? I can only surmise that Frauditor Troll is saying the things that you're going to hear him say about me because he's doing it in bad faith, because he has no evidence. And let's just go through a couple seconds of this, and then I'll stop and I'll just make a comment on it, because this is important, man. This is important because this gets down to what humanity is, who individuals are within a collective, within a society, and how that society is going to be directly impacted by the individuals who are not operating in good faith, who have bad hearts. I'm not talking about bad beating hearts, but their inner core, there's something wrong. I don't know Frauditor Troll. I've seen enough of his videos to say that I can prove with documentation and with evidence that there's a lot of things that he says that's absolutely not true. And I don't even understand where these Frauditor Troll kind of people, because there's a whole genre of them. There's a whole gaggle of them. I don't even know what their shtick is. I mean, are you actively working against freedom? Do you actually want rules and regulations and ordinances and policies to oppress us? I don't know. So here's what Frauditor Troll said about me.
I have a clip here of him actually stealing an apple. But before we put that, I want to show a reaction.
He's talking about Brooklyn Audit stealing the apple, which he runs through my whole video. I only watched the first. I think it was the first. I didn't see that Weird Al Yankovic thing. I didn't see that. So probably the first 2 minutes. I watched the first 2 minutes of this video. Enough to know that, wow, if he's lying about me, and I know he's lying about me because I'm me and I know, he's definitely lying about other people. And Frauditor Troll, I don't even see how you can do this. Here's what he said.
From Brian at Here's the Deal. Now, this guy, don't get me wrong, is a complete lunatic, sovereign citizen, completely insane person.
Lunatic, sovereign citizen, completely insane person. Now, I've met people that I suspected might be insane because they can't hold down a conversation. They can't talk clearly. They're absolutely irrational. They do erratic things. They harm people. They harm themselves. They steal from people. They literally have no conscience. So when you're going to call somebody a lunatic, okay, let's say I'm a lunatic. How do you prove it? By what standard? What standard are you using to determine that I'm a lunatic? And then he says sovereign citizen. First of all, I've never considered myself a sovereign citizen. Anytime I hear the term, I laugh at it because it's an oxymoron. It's like jumbo shrimp or tight slacks or airline food or military intelligence. Those terms don't go together. They're mutually exclusive and actually diametrically opposed. Let me just show you. Sovereign literally means the supreme ruler. There's nobody higher than that person, the supreme ruler, especially a monarch. But sovereign just means nobody's got the right to control you, and a sovereign actually controls other people. But sovereign in the term of individual, the only person the individual controls, I'm talking about the individual who has a moral compass. The only person that individual who has a moral compass wants to control is himself. Self-control and self-determination, not others' control. So that's the term for sovereign. And citizen is a legally recognized subject. Well, if you're a sovereign with ultimate control, you're the supreme ruler, then you are subject to no one. So you're going to talk about supreme ruler who's subject. Wait a second, that doesn't go together. You can't be supreme and then be under somebody, because that's what subject means. It means you're under somebody. But if you're supreme or you're sovereign, then you're not under anyone. Sovereign, I don't even know why people use the term sovereign citizen. I don't even know who made it up. Maybe there's an etymology behind the term sovereign citizen, but it's absolutely ridiculous. And ever since I've come to the knowledge of, hey, nobody has a higher claim over your life and property than you. Do they, Frauditor troll? Does anybody legitimately have a higher claim over your life and your property? And if there's a human being or group of human beings who does, how did they get that power if you don't have it? And if you don't have it, and a whole group of you get together and try to vote for somebody to get it, and you can't really do that because if individually you don't have that power, then collectively you don't have that power, so you can't confer a power that you don't have onto others, then how can somebody have a higher claim over your life and property than you? The second thing that I always say is it's never right to initiate unjust force and violence on peaceful people who haven't done anything wrong. And the third one is simply the golden rule. And all these are self-evident. You don't have to go to a book. You don't have to go to some holy scripture, to a church. You don't have to subscribe to a cult or be involved in the cult of personality or believe in government or whatever to know that nobody's got a higher claim over your life and property than you. It's not right to initiate unjust force and violence on peaceful people who haven't done anything wrong. And the golden rule, do to others what you would want done to you, and don't do to others what you wouldn't want done to you. So he calls me a sovereign citizen and he calls me a lunatic. And here's why he calls me a lunatic, because
he thinks that the regular citizen should be allowed to have nuclear weapons. Complete wacko. But
the regular citizens, first of all, I'm not a subject. Are you a subject? And if you're a subject, who are you subject to? Now, there are people who want you to be subject to them, but that's not legitimate. Why isn't it legitimate? Because there's no such thing as a man who's better than another man. There's no such thing as a man who's worse than another man. Now, yeah, there are people who are evil and there are people who are good, but that doesn't give people the right to rule other people. If you want to give up your own individual freedom by harming somebody, because that's what you do. When you harm somebody or you steal their stuff like Brooklyn Audit did, then you're actually placing yourself above other people in an illegitimate way. You're doing something, you're breaking the golden rule, you're doing something to others that you wouldn't want done to you, and now you've actually given away your freedom and given other people the right to apprehend you legitimately and take you out of society so you cease continuing to harm, threatening harm, damaging people's property or stealing their property. It's just the just thing to do. Justice demands that people who harm other people and damage their property and live as thieves and live as murderers and rapists be removed from society by just men. That's just justice. And everybody knows that. It's self-evident. So he calls me a lunatic, and then he creates classes. You can't legitimately create classes of people. So he says that I'm a lunatic because I say that. Here's what he says.
The deal. Now, this guy, don't get me wrong, is a complete lunatic, sovereign citizen, completely insane person. He thinks that the regular citizen should be allowed to have nuclear weapons. Complete wacko.
First of all, there's no such thing as regular citizens and irregular citizens or supreme citizens or whatever. That's wacko. That's wacko to me, because you literally have to believe in the Tooth Fairy, the Easter Bunny, and Santa Claus to believe that a human being has a higher claim over the life and property than another human being. What I've said in the context of nuclear weapons is the Second Amendment has no limitations. It says a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. What arms? Oh, it doesn't say. So sky's the limit. If the government can have a certain weapon or battery of weapons, then people who aren't in government, which, by the way, government is a fiction. It's that great fiction by which everyone seeks to live at the expense of everyone else. Government is the idea that somebody has a higher claim over your life and property to such an extent that they can steal from you. And as long as they call the theft a different word, taxation, it ceases to be theft. And that's illusory. That's imaginary. That's fairy tale land. It's not true. Just because everybody believes it doesn't make it true. Just because everybody believes in the legitimacy of government doesn't make it true. When that cop grabs you because all you're doing is recording in the post office, that's not legitimate. That's criminal activity on the part of the badged law enforcer. So he calls me insane because I say that the group of humans, if the group of humans, and that's all it is, calling themselves government agents, and the other group of humans that don't call themselves government agents and aren't under the illusion of so-called government, if this group of humans in government can have nuclear weapons, Black Hawk helicopters, RPGs, fully automatic firearms, then this group of humans can have it. To say you can't is ridiculous. And to say that regular, normal people that aren't a part of government can't have nuclear weapons, it's kind of a weird debate, because do you know what it takes to create a nuclear weapon? There's actually what appears to be evidence that there's really no such thing as that kind of weapon, that there's lies surrounding that. But let's say nuclear weapons existed. Let's say when they deployed, in Hiroshima, they got Fat Man and Little Boy and they dropped them both, and it did 144,000 people worth of damage, or destroyed 180,000 people in a flash of an eye. Let's say that there is that kind of nuclear weapon. If the government can have it, the special agents and higher class citizenry and Frauditor trolls world can have it, then everybody else can have it. Matter of fact, the people you wouldn't want to have it are the people who actually want to exercise authority over others, and that's people in government. The people out of government are the ones that really should have it, because the people in government have shown themselves to be irresponsible, unaccountable, wasteful, evil, perpetrating fraud on the rest of us, creating situations where they're dragging men and women of America into the bankers' wars, and that's who funds these wars. The bankers, I don't care if you're talking about the Civil War, World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, they were all predicated on lies. We got to protect democracy. That's what we got to do. No, you don't do it like that. They don't have to do it like that. So I'm a lunatic because I think that if people in government, that's all they are. It's just people. If these people A, have this kind of weaponry, then it just makes sense for people B to have it so that they can protect themselves against these bozos, these knotheads, these psychopaths, literal psychopaths. And they're parasitic because they think it's okay to steal from the rest of us so that they can beef up their war machine. So there's no more really to go through here. He completely lied about me. I've never called myself a sovereign citizen. I scoff at the term. I've always scoffed at the term. Here's the deal. Frauditor troll, you made an accusation. You made an assertion. You can't substantiate it. You've shown yourself to be a fool. And you've basically shown yourself to be a liar. And you've shown yourself to be somebody who just uses ad hominems and just willy-nilly just slander somebody. I consider it slander when you call me a sovereign citizen, when I think it's ridiculous. The term is ridiculous. It's mutually exclusive. Those two words are mutually exclusive and diametrically opposed, and they go together just as well as oil and water. In other words, they don't go together. So thank you to Joseph. Who was it? James Joseph, for letting me know that. I mean, it just further validated the bad faith foundation that people like Frauditor Troll come from. And so Frauditor Troll, go ahead and make a video and prove that I'm a sovereign citizen. Make a video proving that somebody has a legitimately higher claim over the life and property than others, to the point where they can stockpile weapons that other people can't. Prove the existence of legality and illegality apart from it being the construct of a mind, formulated by policies that come from political parasites, and everybody else just goes along with it. Because let me just show you, we're talking about insanity and lunacy and lunatics. Let me just give you one example. Back in the 1920s, prior to Prohibition, it was perfectly legal to own, buy, sell, and transport alcohol. When Prohibition went into effect, I think it was April or May of 2000 or 1920, it became illegal. That means 1 minute, 45 seconds, 30 seconds, 15 seconds, 1 second before midnight, when the clock struck midnight, it was perfectly legal this second, and automatically it became illegal creating criminals from the perspective of the state to do the exact same thing it was perfectly legal to do a second before. That is an example of lunacy. That is an example of people on this side creating criminals of other people for political purposes. Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police in the comment section below. Leave them for this channel owning lunatic. And I will see you in the next heavily censored Shadowman video.